want to know how that one man dying alone for a few short hours on a tree can save a multitude of men from an eternity in hell? Because that one man is worth more than all of them put together. You take everything, every planet, every star, every form of beauty, everything that sings, everything that brings delight, and you put it all in the scale, and you put Christ on the other side, and He outweighs them all. He outweighs them all. Brethren, this is the one we chase after. Go to your studies. Go to your studies. Flee there, not to become smarter than the next man, but to behold His glory until it hurts you and disintegrates you and reconstitutes you and makes you a preacher. One of my favorite writers of all of history is John Flavel. In his Mediatorial Glories of Christ, he says that he writes as one who writes by moonlight. He can't paint Him properly. And there's a passage in that first volume, and I've retitled it, He'll Forgive Me in Heaven, but it's called, I call it The Father's Bargain, and I want you to listen to it. So concisely he puts gospel. The Father speaks in eternity past, and He says, my Son, here is a company of poor, miserable souls that have utterly undone themselves and now lies open to my justice. Justice demands satisfaction for them, or will satisfy itself in the eternal ruin of them. What shall be done for these souls? Man, that's truth. Christ returns. Oh, my Father, such is my love to and pity for them. You know, there are so many fads in Christianity, even in Reformed circles. One of them, which is a spectacular truth, but needs to be understood, is God has done everything for His own glory, and that is true. But sometimes I hear, especially young preachers, using that in a way that would diminish the love of God that He set upon His people. God has done everything He's done for His own glory. Israel asked basically in Deuteronomy 7, why do you love me? And God answers with a tautology, I loved you because I loved you. It is for His own glory, and yet He has set His love upon us. And the most special thing to me is that Christ went to Calvary out of love for sinners, out of love for His bride. And that's what Flavel is saying. Oh, my Father, such is my love and pity for them, then rather they should perish eternally, I will be responsible for them as their surety. Who can say that but deity? I, Father, I will be responsible for them. And then he says, and listen to this, Father, bring in all thy bills that I may see what they owe thee. And then he says this, Lord, bring them all in. And listen to this, listen. Lord, bring them all in, that there may be no after reckonings with them. Did you hear that? No after reckonings. Free. Perfect atonement. Perfect sacrifice. Free. No more payment. All the bills are paid. Lord, bring them all in, that after there may be no after reckonings with them. At my hand thou shalt require it. I would rather choose to suffer the wrath due them than that they should suffer it. Upon me, my Father, upon me be all their debt. And the Father responds, but my Son, if thou undertake for them, thou must reckon to pay the last mite. Expect no abatements. When we would be going down the Amazon in an open boat, And you would see this cloud burst on the horizon, and you would pray because you knew, I've got just a few minutes to get to shore, and if I do not get to shore, we're sunk. And you would pray that that cloud would abate, that somehow it would divide in two, that one would go one direction, the other, and you would be safe, and the waves would be coming over the bow of the boat. You're praying for an abatement, but he says this, expect no abatement, son. If I spare them, I will not spare you. Content, Father. Let it be so. Charge it all upon me. I am able to discharge it. And though it prove a kind of undoing to me, and though it impoverish all my riches, empty all my treasures, yet I am content to undertake it. Content to undertake it. I'll finish by saying this. One of the greatest, and it was mentioned 2 days ago, one of the greatest narratives of the Old Testament is Abraham, commanded to carry his son Isaac to Mount Moriah and to sacrifice him there. And let me repeat what was said. Listen to the language. Take now your son, your only son, whom you loved, Isaac, and go to the land of Moriah and offer him there as a burnt offering on one of the mountains of which I will tell you. And the burden was laid on the old man, and you can see him as in obedience and yet great sorrow, he makes his way toward the mountain. He prepares the altar, prepares the wood, lays his son, stretches him out, uncovers the flint knife that may have been the very knife he used to circumcise the boy. He rears up, draws back his hand, and his will gives in to the will of God. And at that moment, his hand is stayed. And then Abraham is told, Jehovah Jireh provided a ram. I don't want to be bold, and I want no laughter from this statement, but in my presence, don't ever use the terminology Jehovah Jireh with regard to a house or a Mercedes or prosperity. Because my dear friend, you will have a fight on your hands.